Good afternoon. This is Speak On It, a live, interactive opportunity for you, the viewing audience, to call in here and for us to kick it. Today, we going old school. You know, we usually try to have a little computer stuff going on, and we intended to have that today, but young man had another engagement, and we're going to go the way we started. We're going to look at some headlines in one of the newspapers because there are some things we want to talk about. But before we get to that, I want to just say what I wanted to talk about, and that was Black Panther. So I have to say it because some people and I have talked about that would be the discussion tonight, and I expected it to be, but it won't be. But I will say this. That movie generated a lot of discussion. And my first response when I heard the term Black Panther, before I knew that it was a comic theme, so-called superhero, my response was threw back to the 60s. Man, I was thinking about Huey Newton and Bobby Seale and those people. And what happened is that my immediate reaction was that it was a distraction. Because in some parts of America, the Black Panther Party was trying to have a resurrection. They might not have been having that good of a time of it, but there were some things that was basic. Some things that some of us remember because that was during my day as a younger person. And we were somewhat intrigued by the idea that young black men was walking around with berets on and guns, and I was one of those stupid enough to get off into a degree of that type of carrying on. And there are people still in jail right now because of their Black Panther engagement. Some of them got caught on some real crimes where people lost their lives, whether it was provoked or not, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. There was a man about to get out the other day after 40-some years, and the police raised so much sand until the judge suspended his release. So this thing is very real. But the movie did something for a segment of the Negro community that I find very interesting. I mean, I was talking to someone, they kept asking me, have you went to see the movie? I said, damn, for what? So I went over to the theater, got my senior citizens discount, bought me some popcorn, went up in there, and I enjoyed the popcorn and I enjoyed the movie. Would have enjoyed the movie better had these people not come sitting all around me and getting too close and I couldn't smack on my popcorn the way I like to. With that being said, I went on and I got through with it. And then I came back and I talked to people and I saw something very clear. Negro women and Negro men appeared to have a different understanding of what was happening in the movie. And I don't want to get off into anything crazy because I don't want folks thinking that I'm a chauvinist and I'm this and I'm that. But I have to say this. It was a fictional movie. It was fantasy. You know what I mean? It is what it is and it was what it was, but now it's fading out of the headlines a little bit after making over $1 billion worldwide and it keep making money. But what happened is our people got sort of competitive. Now, what I saw and what the ladies I have talked to saw, I think is different. Some of them went 3 and 4 times. But I think the biggest thing that stood out for me is that the Black Panther character, the weakest looking man in the movie, I said that, he was the Black Panther. And when he had his battles, he was having battles with strong warrior type men. But because of the spiritual and the herbal medicine that he took in the African tradition, he was able to overcome to a degree the physical combat scenarios. Now, I'm saying this because some of you all have not seen the movie and you're going to see it sooner or later. But I have to say this because people got it twisted. There were some good things there that was very educational. The whole piece about the ancestors, very profound. Where he needed to have counsel with his dead who was dead, there was a ritual he could do and he could go into that world of the dead and get instructions with his father and come back and make real life decisions in this dimension. But you colored folks didn't want to see that. All you wanted to see was these black women whooping some black men's behind. You really got all geeked up about how you would change your wear. What the hell? The only thing that was real in the movie as it relates to African, all them costumes would do with them big lips, with them damn plates in his lips. The rest of them had on some costumes. I don't know where the hell they was from. A few of them might have been from some parts of Africa, but we got it twisted. It was not about all of that. And when they got around to the war stages, we started thinking that our whole world would change. Oh, the way the world would have changed and the way the world will change is looking at some of the concepts that the real Black Panther Party was doing back in the day. Free lunch. Now that's not so much. And I see kids every day, they go to school, they 7, 8 years old, and they walk down the street 2 and 3 blocks by themselves, and their hair so matted that I don't know what their parents could be doing. But they hungry as hell, they crying because they ain't had breakfast. So they go to the corner store and get whatever little junk food they can, and they go in. That's why we needed the free breakfast program. But you don't want to talk about that. But that's my little commentary on Black Panther. But then white folks got mad because it was making all that money. Then they started saying it's making so much money that the movies we intended to make money gonna come up short. And now they're really mad. I was looking at something yesterday on social media where this little European boy, he had a real commentary about how racist Negroes are by believing that Black Panther was such a profound movie. Come on, boy. Wasn't nothing profound about Negroes in that movie. That little scene at the beginning where they was out in a parking lot, and at the end when they was in the parking lot playing basketball, those are little small things. And the movie generated some money for some non-profit organizations. That's good. $1 billion. Controlled by the same people it was always controlled by. People had jobs and all of that's good. But come on, y'all, snap out of it. If you want to be a real revolutionary in Wakanda, cool. Just keep going to the TV, keep going to the movie. But Wakanda ain't here. But there was a real Wakanda type. And we finna get some sort of naked and nasty here. So, you know, this is a live call-in show. 312-738-1060. So if you saw the movie, you can call in. If not, don't be calling in just running your mouth because they ain't talking about all that. But I saw something in Libya. When Gaddafi was killed by the American functionaries, he was trying to turn the African continent into another way of dealing with currency, using gold instead of the American dollar. And old girl Clinton went over there and she got Obama to go along with this insanity, so they killed the man. But maybe, just maybe, maybe Gaddafi was the real what? Black Panther. Y'all don't want to talk about that. And just maybe that Russian that has stolen the resources from Wakanda, maybe he was represented by somebody y'all love so much, and I ain't gonna call his name because I know y'all love him too much and I don't want your hate. But when I looked at the movie, that's what I saw. I saw real people that would have made any of us think, but you didn't. So much for that. I put it out there. I told people I was going to talk about it, and they say, well, you ought to talk about it. Well, that's why we're doing this show on 21, because 19 is still going through transition. And since we will never do what we did back in the day, where we had Tuesday night for live, we had Saturday for 3 or 4 live, and we had Sunday for 2 or 3 live, that ain't going to never happen here no more. Not on 19. But I'm one of those that thinking that maybe 21 can be used for live until such time that we can, but live got to be now. Live is not 45 days later. And that's why Black Panther has almost become a little bit stale. And that's why I'm talking about the way I am, because the fact that it ain't the issue now. Except people hating on the fact that it made so much money. A whole industry of clothing and dolls and all of this type of stuff has come out of it. And I guess some black vendors are making money. So much for that. Congratulations to those of you that really felt revolutionary by looking at Black Panther, who felt very inspired and really enjoyed them women whooping them black men. But one thing I thought was interesting, old girl was out there fighting, and when she got ready to get the warrior dude that was on that big old animal, old girl kissed the animal, and old boy got off and dropped his weapon. See, these are subliminal messages. You dig? You didn't see the subliminal messages. You didn't see who was operating the ships. That high technology, you didn't see that. It was a white man. So the colors was out there fighting on the field with antiquated weapons, and here's a dude that they brought in to save his life, but when the war came to be won, what did they do? They had to turn the technology over to him, and he didn't even know it, but he was the one to save the day because he was able to do this. Now, y'all didn't want to see all that. Y'all don't want to see all that. But I'm going to say it because you need to see it from a different perspective. Y'all keep running around here being geeked and sent off. And that's okay. But I'm through with that. Black Panther's done. But don't be hating the brothers and the sisters that gave their lives so you could have free breakfast. Don't be hating on the brothers and sisters that gave their lives so you could have free medical care. These things have become, in some communities, taken for granted now because they do exist to some degree. But we are losing things daily while we go into the movie, being caught up in a fantasy. Snap out of it. Snap out of insanity and come back to reality. So much for that. Now, something is developing real pretty in Chicago. Miss Lightfoot, who is over this Chicago Police Board Civilian Review, or whatever it is considering, they say, a run for mayor. That's reality. Now you got another person that has to do with the police, who was the superintendent of police. They got dropped as a relate of that case where the boy got shot 16 times and Rahm Emanuel, sacrificed McCarthy. So McCarthy is back saying, look, I'm running. And I read some of the stuff he's saying. I ain't got no real problem with what he's saying. And I'm going to tell y'all something. The reality is, they say, I was reading it today, that tourism in Chicago is up 10%. Hotels ain't got no room. They doing so good, people coming from all over the place just flocking here. But those of us living here, we scared to come out the house because crime is rampant. Feel where I'm going here. People coming here from all over the world because the mayor has sold them an image. And he's building up downtown, but you can't get downtown. You can't even get out of your neighborhood because the potholes are worse now than they ever been. God damn it, I done tore up so many tires on my car, I can't believe it. Because you can't you can't duck and dodge and all of this. He don't care nothing about that. So the reason this is interesting is because you got two police-related people that know what the issues are in Chicago. A black woman, who some of us think might be an advocate, and a white man, who I even think might be a pretty good candidate. Because as superintendent of police, had he not been under the foot of Rahm Emanuel, he might have been able to do things a little different, and crime might have been contained. And yes, I am a law and order type of guy. Yes, I am. I do not believe that I should be scared to come out my house. I do not believe that I should be scared to go to the gas station and scared to get gas because somebody is lurking to do me harm. So yeah, I'm a law and order type of guy. And after this call, we're going to continue on this path because the truth of the matter is, maybe a former superintendent of police and maybe the head of this police, whatever thing they call it now, maybe those type of people will have a solution to this insane, out of control situation that we are living in. Yes, caller, speak on it.
Yes, sir, my friend. How are you doing today?
Fine. How you doing, Ray? Good to hear from you.
You know what? This city ain't going to get no better. And you know what? This city or Baltimore or St. Louis or why? Because they have nothing but Democrats heading them. Not like other cities. And the crime here is crazy because Rahm has a sanctuary city, which means safe zone, and yet we don't have a safe zone for the U.S. citizens in the city of Chicago. You know, now he's got to watch out for the guests, visitors. So you know what's going to happen? More crime in all the other parts of the city. So, McCarthy, I'm still studying up on him a little bit. But the thing is, listen, the guy, the superintendent of police, is only going to do, or only go so far as the mayor tells him to go. No further, But what gets me is talking about gun laws. How many armed guards does Rahm Emanuel have? How many armed guards does Nancy Pelosi have? How many armed guards does Maxine Waters have? And they're always talking about you gotta cut guns out. The best way to start it is let all their security give up their guns. And I'll bet you'll never hear another word about guns. Never. They don't have all this crime where they live in a beautiful neighborhood.
Right.
No, they don't have the crime there. It's only in the city. And I'm getting tired of it. Like I said, I'm 7 years old, Doc, and I just never thought it would get this bad.
You're right.
But this city is starting to just go down, and not starting, it's going down for 20 years. And if you don't change the people at the top, it's going to go down for the next 20 years. So, people like you and the Gator and, why don't you guys run for office? Because you know what you're talking about. These guys don't know what they're talking about. See, if you have money, you can put all the BS out that you want. You can even lie. But if you don't have any money, you better not talk BS. Because then they're not going to vote you in. You have to have money and BS, and then you have a chance. But you guys maybe could start something, reverse, and have a guy, have people that don't have much money to have a plan to save this city. Because right now it's not being saved; it's being thrown away, and I just don't like it. But okay, I'll just hang up now and before I say something I don't want to say. And I want to say this: when are you going to be back in the 4 weeks again, or your show?
Well, Ray, this show tonight is an hour show, not the 30-minute piece on the 12-week show. This is part of my effort on my own part of trying to see, can I actually ride this horse, sit in this saddle on 21 and get a consistency and get the audience back that we all lost when they moved over here. So one of the things I'll be doing once a month, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come here and I'm going to use this slot until we can sort of encourage the administration to let us use 21 on Saturday morning. If you don't have 19 ready, we can make do with this. It's live. You can call in, we can kick it, and then other people will find that we are back in the mix. So now I'll be here again next month, and we'll be talking this time of the day. And I know ain't nobody listening, ain't nobody looking, because people in traffic. And what we want this administration here to understand is that we had an audience, and you was part of that audience. And we need to get back where that audience can have access to live programming here on Chicago Access. Thanks a lot, Ray. That's what that's about. Now, tell you a little something what Ray was saying. It's real. A couple of days this week has been almost nice. And I'll be out doing what I do with the Safe Passage and other things. And I've been noticing how people are coming up and coming out. And I'm also noticing how some things that are happening that I can't believe in Chicago, and I'm expecting sooner or later, but I'm hoping that it don't happen. Our people are not really paying attention to the danger. I'm looking. Yesterday, about 10 police squads, they must not have nothing else to do, right there off of 63rd and Walcott. Man, they came in, it was nothing but a little fight, but they were looking for something to do. A couple of days later, down on another street, people just hanging, waiting. So we all a little nervous right now because we know when the sun stay hot, we want the heat, but we also know what else is coming. That's a sadness. It's a shame that we cannot look forward for spring and summer because the powers that be are so busy building hotels downtown for tourists that the communities where we live are out of control by people that are being sold dope, by other people doing business in our neighborhood. This is the other point we're finna talk about. The other day, over on the 1300 block of Kitsy, right off of Roosevelt, man, I almost called them people something. Some of them probably immigrants, so-called Muslim. One of them had the audacity, part of his name is Allah. This sucker sitting up in the community with $280,000 cash on him while people are buying fake marijuana out of their place of business. And the title he had was clerk. A clerk with $280,000 in his pocket? That's a hell of a business, huh? But the bottom line is people dropping dead because they, whoever they is, have mixed rat poison with some of this mess that our stupid, sick people are using. Now, they got all of these service stations, all of these little corner stores, and can't nobody figure out how Negroes just lost all opportunity in our own neighborhoods. And then some people can come from the damn desert that ain't never seen our neighborhood and come here and be rich. Well, it started with the oil, then it moved into the dope, and now they still selling the dope, and we wonder why they ahead of us, because they sitting in our neighborhood with $280,000. So not only are they selling popcorn and potato chips and pop, they selling dope. But we go for it. But the police know it. The mayor know it. The aldermen know it. They do nothing. So I'm thinking that maybe McCarthy, who was part of that police thing, maybe, if we don't be so limited in our own racist, emotional, irrational thinking. Listen to what the man got to say. Maybe the man got something to say that'll help us see why all of those cameras in our communities are not reducing crime in our communities. Yet, Rahm Emanuel got a partner that's a billionaire that just dropped $10 million to fight violence in Chicago. Yeah. But that's probably because he knows McCarthy going to be saying some things, so now he needs something to sort of throw McCarthy off and Mr. Lightfoot off. So dude going to drop $10 million, but he didn't say he's going to drop it to the hood. He going to give it basically to what? University of Chicago, for them to do what? Study us. Come up with little games to send us off when they get ready. Control us when they don't want to send us off. Feel me? The rest of the money he gonna give to the police department. Well, how in the hell are you gonna stop violence in the hood when you are only giving the money to other white folk that don't have a stake in the hood? If you want to stop violence in the hood, maybe you need to give a couple of million to job development, training, and community outreach. Maybe that's what you could do, but that ain't what dude is about. And I ain't going on a rampage on Rahm Emanuel. Basically, I don't care that much about his administration because I think he really don't care nothing about us. But I mean, if that's your man, it's your man. But we do need to look at something else. We need to look at the fact that maybe McCarthy, maybe Dr. Willie Wilson, and now maybe Ms. Lightfoot, maybe Vallis or the Haitian, maybe they'll come up with a plan and maybe we won't be so fooled. But I bet you Rahm Emanuel got something to do with what we see. You got this black woman who I think is going to probably turn out to be the strongest candidate against Rahm Emanuel. The question is, will she be independent or is she being used to do what the naysayers in our community always say, to divide the black vote? That's something to think about. Now you got two Negroes that will probably be in the race. Dr. Willie Wilson, y'all just can't elect him because y'all just scared of him. Y'all scared of him because of the fact that he don't look like what y'all want him to look like. He don't sound like what you all want him to sound like. So y'all are just too embarrassed to embrace him. That's y'all. I salute the brother because he tried. He's a good businessman. But I'm gonna leave that alone. Then you got the Haitian who is colored, but I ain't gonna say too much about that, but I like him. And if he run, he do all right, cool. But he probably don't have enough Haitians in Chicago to, whatever. But Kwame Raoul did all right in his position, so who knows? Now you have the woman. The woman, well, I understand she's a lawyer. She's been sort of vocal. Even she was working with the Department of Justice when they was here. Rahm Emanuel seemed to be resisting that. McCarthy seemed to resist that. Now they're trying to work out something where, McCarthy saying we'll have a partly elected police board, and partly appointed. Yeah, that sounds like a compromise, but a lot of the black activists say, oh, he's just stealing our idea. Let me tell y'all something. It don't matter who idea it is. If you propose the idea and it never got implemented, now if he come and he proposed the idea and he get elected and he implement it, do you really care where the idea came from as long as it get the results? Partly elected police board. That might not be a fully elected board, but at least it's better than what they got now. But anyhow, Carla, speak on it.
Hey, Doc.
Yes, sir.
I think that Chan should be given some consideration as far as a legitimate mayoral candidate. Obviously, he's a young person, and now is the time. It's young people's time now. Okay, this man has done an impeccable job in terms of philanthropic actions that he's done in the educational department, the social causes. He's politically active, and at this point, from what I have seen thus far, no one is really given him the consideration I think he should be given. I think he has potential. He has, first of all, the capital resources to make an imprint. And I believe, given his youth, that it can be done. Give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think it can be done too. And I'm hoping, and I don't want to use this word because I'm not as familiar with his intent as you are. I'm hoping that it's something that he is seriously contemplating and organizing to do, because I think we can all be encouraged by the March for Our Lives, how those young people, and whoever else you want to say was involved, was able to mobilize in a short period of time all of those people in Washington and across this nation and the world. So the truth is, by the time the mayoral election comes, if Chance is serious about running, he might be able to tap into the spirit of young people, and who knows, he might be able to pull it off. Because if young people decide to come out, there are people like me and like you and others that have no egotistical reason not to vote for a young person just because he's young. I like what the young man is doing. He don't seem to be scared. He's spent more money than this billionaire that's finna drop to 10 million. At least Chance is giving his money directly to some of the schools. The spirit of the Black Panther, once again. I'm not putting that on him to taint him, but I'm just saying he's putting his money where the need is. The billionaires are putting their money where the greed is. And I think that's what we have to look at. Ray mentioned, why don't Gator, me and other people like us run? Well, one of the things that I know for sure, I used to think about it, but I know how people perceive me. And I know when I go in meetings, it's like part of the African tradition. There's an energy, a a God source that people love when they got problems, that they love when there's a need for war and protection. But when there's peace and when everything cool, they can't stand it. They don't want him around. They want to send messages. I'm that type of dude. I think people don't mind me being on TV, running my mouth, being in the streets, trying to talk to people and talking to the people that might, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't dare try to get close to these big shot, uppity types, because I know how they feel. I do. I can see it on your face. I can see it. So no, I would never run for office because I know how you feel. You can't vote for Willie Wilson. You really wouldn't be able to vote for me or Gator. Why? Because we embarrassed you. Why? Because we ain't scared of them and we ain't scared of you. But you want us to fear them, but want us to bow down to you. So when somebody like Chance, a young man, come up, we should give him a chance. And we should give Dr. Willie Wilson a chance. We should give Alternate Lightfoot a chance. Now the other folks, I'll leave them alone. But anyhow, there we are. Now I'm going to leave that alone because it's a while before that's going to happen. Something else is really ugly. And I'm gonna go to the overhead, so y'all bear with me for a minute. Because with these bifocals, I have to be able to focus my eyes and get to it right. There you go. Now I'm going to try to straighten it up because I don't like things to be all crazy looking. Now, this is current. I've heard many custodians, people work, you can't say they work for CPS because they don't. They work in CPS because this administration has privatized the janitorial services. Not only janitorial services, they got, I think it's the same company providing the food and the cleaning. If not, close enough. But what happens is, people have been complaining for a minute that the schools are not clean. I was in a school the other day and a little girl showed me, not little girl, she's a teenager, and she showed me this bed bug going in or coming out of another girl's pocket. So I backed up and I took my little book bag and my coat and I that shit all the way out of the area because I didn't want to take none of that home. And she started doing what teenagers do. She started getting an attitude at the girl. So I said, no, why don't you just tell her? I ain't going to tell her nothing. That's her position. And then I had to explain to her, you know, we don't know where that bed bug come from. A lot of kids go here. But that girl saw a bed bug in the auditorium and she got scared. The other girl might have brought that bed bug, or she might have not. But there are kids, and I told you earlier in the show, that are going to Chicago public schools, and when I look at them, I look at some of these babies, man, they be moving around, and I understand school can't be too clean because, you know, they carrying things, man. But this new CEO, Ms. Jackson, Dr. Jackson, says she's going to take $7 million and hire 200 more custodians to tackle dirty schools because they went in the other day and they checked out 121 schools and only 125 schools and only a few of them passed, 91 of them failed. That's how filthy they were. Saw another place over there in Brunsville a few weeks ago, CPS official security was sitting on a black woman that was on the LSC with his knee in her chest because she and other parents were trying to get into school over this same issue. Filthy schools, rats, roaches, and bed bugs. So now they finna spend some money. But the bottom line is this. This administration has spent millions of dollars on Aramac, $61.3 million, and another company, $28.5 million to clean these schools. Yet, people that work these jobs in the schools, some of them have to bring their own cleaning material. You know what I'm saying? Because the material that these privatized companies that's making all this money that's connected to the political power players are not giving the people what it takes to clean the school. So they mopping the floor with clear water. And you blame them. And one of the first things those privatized companies did when they came in was to get rid of people that had been there a long time. So people are mopping the floor with water. Well, we all know what that's about. But if your so-called employer don't give you the supplies it takes to clean the place, then after a while the place do get out of control. So I salute Dr. Jackson, and I hope that she's independent enough to be able to do some things. But you know how it is, since she serves at the pleasure of the man, the man's only concerned about his billionaire friends, and what he cares about our children is a little bit of nothing. So, 61 point some, come on, that's a lot of money, man. And now you got people that was about to go on strike, but now because of this announcement, they seem to be backing up a little bit, and that's good. But we as people in the community need to be getting ready for this election. Not just the election coming up in November, but the election that's coming up after that. And that's the election for the 5th floor of the city of Chicago. Another thing they're doing, I was looking at it the other day, they building a $70 million school out northwest somewhere. They always talking about they ain't got no money for schools, but damn, every time you turn around, they building another school. I don't understand that. And a lot of schools, I be driving through this joint, I be saying, where this come from? And they say, where are the black kids? I don't know. I guess they're in all these brand new buildings that these charter schools got. But now they finna build this school. And I'm going to put her back up here so you can look at her, because I don't think it's her fault. Because I imagine she got a little sense, and she knows that this don't make no sense. Now let me tell you something. Can you really imagine you'll take $70 million, build a brand new school on a grave site where there's over 38,000 bodies? Come on now. Does she look like she that reckless? Would you really spend that type of money? Not only is it a graveyard, it's also a place where they had, back in them days, they called them insane asylums. A whole lot of crazy energy, man, is associated with where they finna put this new school. We're going to get back to that. All right, caller, speak on it.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Shabazz.
How you doing?
I'm really enthused and impressed by your show, and the name is truly relevant. Retro current, because you have been retro today. You have also been current.
Thank you, man.
I really like each piece that you spoke on, so many different topics that are very important to the African American community. Starting off with Black Panther, I was happy to hear your perspective on it, because the perspective that you shared, the masses of African American people may not have looked at those particular ideals within that movie. I know I didn't, so I learned something from that. And just all of the issues that you spoke of, they were quite profound. They needed to be addressed, and they needed to be said. But I think the voices today are filled with fear. And I think that it's rooted in greed and self-actualization. So African-American people today are in a very difficult position, but we do not have to be. That's because our minds have been so captivated by the program of the powers that be, who have told us who we are. And I think that, like you said, your mannerism, your dress is acceptable in one specific situation, but in another situation it is not. But being your true self is the most that you can be. Exactly. African American people have been spooked about who they really are, their culture, their image, and everything about themselves. So, you yourself, I think that just your presence sets people free. And they need to be free, especially the African American male. He is so conditioned and programmed, he has become almost inauthentic. So your program, I'm very glad to see that you're still doing Speak on it, because it's very, very important, and very, very relevant, and I just wanted to call to say that.
Well, I sure appreciate it, Sister Millicent. Appreciate that. Now, I was saying I only use Miss Dr. Jackson's picture for that because that's a Chicago public school. And I'm going to leave that alone, but I just want to throw it back out there. Y'all know how we are, man, about graveyards. Y'all know this here. And you know, I mean, even if you don't believe in haunts and ghosts and spirits, it don't make sense, man. Because energy is forever. And to normally build a school on a grave site, on a mental health facility, to subject spirits of children, young people, and the staff to that type of energy. Now I know you old, you preachers, Lord help me. Y'all want to say let the dead bury the dead and it don't matter. You just a lie. It do matter. That energy is collective energy. And when you bring children into an environment where death is the foundation, I don't see how you can expect nothing good to come out of that in the future. But that school will be open sometime, probably in the fall. That's a real issue. So you need to think about what this administration is doing as it relates to where we as community are going. Old boy would like to do like Daley, stay there for 20-some years. He can't not be allowed to stay there another term because he's only concerned about billionaires. Now, he can have whatever he want to say about what he want to say. But the bottom line is we need somebody that leads Chicago that understand the culture of not just billionaires, but those of us that live in this fear state. We live under siege. He don't see that. So with Attorney Lightfoot and McCarthy running, and the rest of them, but I'm pushing the law and order types, the police type, because what it says to me is that those two people know what I'm talking about. They know that we don't feel safe. They know that we live under siege, and they might have a platform that will address the needs of the community, not only that punish the criminal, but somehow or another help us address the issues so those that are not yet criminals don't have to become criminals. Caller, speak on it.
Yes, and this is really once again.
Yes, sir.
You know what gets me is this. They run not because they want to help people. They run. They're billionaires and multi-million-dollar people. They run for the power.
Yeah.
Not to help people. That's and that's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how. And another thing is, you tell everybody, go vote.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be a big turnout this time again. And then they'll be the first people to call your show and other shows and complain about, oh, man, this guy should have wanted it. Well, go and vote. You know, like I said, I'm a 70-year-old man. I voted for the first time I could, and I'm going to vote to the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
At least I know that my vote was in. So, and like the lady was saying, Doc, you really, really make me a happy guy because you carry yourself well, you tell the truth, and you don't give a darn about who you talk about. Black, white, it don't matter. You talk like you're supposed to talk, not the way these politicians talk. Well, I want to help. No. You did this, you did that, and that's why, Doc, hey, I'm going to go with you until the day I die. Because, man, I learned a lot from you, and I hope that you learn a little bit from me.
Yes, sir, Red. I'm always glad that you be here, and that's one of the reasons I'm pushing for this 21 to be on Saturday, because I really think that as brothers like you, see, I think sometimes people don't understand. And I and Boise and Manir, you know, over the years, we put a lot of energy in 19, man. And
Oh,
now,
man,
not to have that going on, it wasn't so much for us to being on TV, it was a lot about you, Ray, calling, Steve calling. That's what this is about. Live TV in Chicago is about you being able to call in here and have access because one of us are sitting here facilitating that opportunity. And yeah, keep calling, man, because in a minute, maybe they will let us come back and we'll be able to get you back involved.
Let me say this. You could count on me.
Yes, sir.
I'm a man of my word, and I'm going to watch it till I can't watch it anymore. But, you know what, there's so much to say about you that you'd have to have a 2-hour show. But you're right about the one on Saturdays. I used to enjoy that show. You get that round table with Red and Boise and Matthews and the Hispanic lawyer. Oh man! And sometimes they agree with me, and sometimes they didn't.
Right.
Believe me, if they agree with me all the time, I wouldn't watch the show. But thank you again, and please keep trying for that. Thank you.
All right, Brother Ray, appreciate you calling. Now we're gonna change gears just a little bit, but it ain't gonna be a lot. Now, once again, boy, tell y'all, these bifocals, boy, maybe I need to get some contact lenses. Hell, I don't know. Now, this is police related too. See? $2.3 million to settle a police shooting case. Why? Because the lawyers, you know, the culture of Chicago is a trip. The lawyers just kept lying and lying and lying. So it ain't only just 2.3 million. They got 4 cases. So the 4 cases combined is 6.2 million. Misconduct on the part of the city lawyers. See, something wrong here. You need a change because the culture is corrupt. So you say, well, how is the president of the advisory board, the police board, going to bring about a good change to stop this? How is a former superintendent going to bring about a good change? Well, I think sometimes the best way to solve a problem is with people that help create the problem. But so much for that. Caller, speak on it.
Yes, and Doc, how good it is. Glad to see you. This is Steve.
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Man, I missed you. You know,
Thank you,
and
sir.
I heard you talk about 19. I still on Saturdays turn on at 10:30 to see maybe I catch an old show of you and Matthews and all of y'all. But it's so wonderful. Are you gonna be on Fridays? Every Friday here?
No, sir. What I said earlier to Ray was that I'm gonna make it a point at least once a month to come on Fridays at this slot until we can get something on Saturday for 21 or 19, just because of people like yourselves. That, you know, we tired of hearing that, you know, they ain't ready yet. I know you and others are waiting to get back in the mix with this live
Yes,
thing.
we are.
So
Man, we
we're
need
gonna
to
do it like
call-
this for a minute.
We need to call Sheila and let her and Sylvia, let them know that we really miss you. You know, really miss you. But listen, one thing I have learned with y'all guys, a lot of people just talk. They don't listen.
Right.
They need to listen first and then speak. Keeping quiet, you'd be surprised how much you can learn. Because you see people call, instead of calling, they say things, what they said somewhere else, and forgot what they said, and they're saying something else. But we need people such as you. Boy, but Matthew, we really miss him too. We really do. But Bosie and everybody was just, it was a good show, a good talk show, a good educational, good way to learn and listen. People need to sometimes, like I say, I got old saying, take the cotton out of your mouth, out of your ears, and put it in your mouth. Just shut up and listen. But Doc, listen, I haven't heard too much of what you've been talking about today. But one thing for sure, I know you've been talking the truth. But we're going to be looking out for you here.
All right, sir.
And I wish you take care, too.
All right, Brother Steve, thanks for calling. I appreciate it because part of what we're doing here is, like I say, we're trying to fill a gap. And they don't need to be lying. It ain't so much for me sitting here because today I really wanted to do Black Panther 21st century way. But like I said, I wasn't able to get my young man to handle the post that could have been on the computer and you could have saw it, could have heard other people talking about it. So I might have tainted it a little bit, but that was my perspective. You can go see it for yourself. As it relates to the candidates that's running for mayor, well, we're going to talk about that a lot. But it would be better if we could discuss it on 21 or 19 where the audience, Steve, Ray, and others, would be able to kick it. We all could look at it and maybe we could inspire the community to actually get involved and become active participants. The bottom line is we just finished an election. Some people lost, some people won. And I was looking at something the other day, and this is something that we need to watch ourselves as part of the so-called Negro colony. The billionaire Democrat is running against the billionaire Republican for governor. Operative word, billionaire. So, of course, Gator and others that was working with the billionaire Democrat, and he has gotten to this point, now they are now targets of others who person didn't win. So I have noticed a thing or two when I saw something posted. A group of people came into a meeting where Gator, yeah, I'm calling Gator's name, was at a meeting with some preachers and that Democratic gubernatorial person. And these other people came in, man, they were just too disrespectful. Not only to Gator and the preachers, but to the process. And that's what I'm talking about here. The process, y'all. Don't hate the opposition when that part of the battle is over. You don't have to join the opposition, but don't come with the gangster approach. Because what'll happen is we will be shedding blood for billionaires. We'll be doing time for billionaires. But the billionaires gonna run it. We ain't gonna run it because we don't have enough money to get in the game. But when those of us that choose the particular candidate we are going with, when it don't go our way, let's not break down the door and start calling preachers a bunch of MFs and talking about whooping them. Man, these dudes here, they was talking about whooping some preachers right there. And all preachers ain't punks. And I don't mean punks as it relates to the homosexual phobia you got going on here. I'm talking about punks as it relates to when I was a boy. Somebody that's scared, somebody that can't fight, somebody that won't knock you out. Some preachers will deck you. Some preachers will make you a hump in the ground. So don't you just assume that because a person is a preacher that you can come in there and try to play them. Look here, y'all. Y'all need to cut that out. And until next time, it's time for me to get out. Thank you.